All right, it's time for the Silent Ascension 1 run. So this is the second full run that I've done with the Silent, and we're offered right away from Meow Lost Coffer, Meow's Torment, or the Large Capsule. We've done Large Capsule before. I'm not really thinking that adding a Strike and Defend to the deck is worth it, and I'm kind of interested in trying out Meow's Fury, which I haven't tried yet. So this may be the turn, the run where we do exactly that. As you can see right there, I'm counting up my strikes and defense just to make sure. And yeah, we're going to go with Meow's Fury, which has that full art card, which is super cool. I love that little change that they've made where there are now some full art cards that didn't exist in Spire 1. And it adds a little something, that card game, physical card game feel that you get with probably other games like Pokemon, which I don't play and never have, but I know they have the real fancy full art cards, or One Piece trading card game that my son plays. We are looking for as many elites as possible, and I'm really hoping for a Shiv build as we play this run, because the first run that we've done was a poison build. And here we're seeing the benefit of Meow's Fury immediately with being able to play that unupgraded Neutralize twice to get 2 turns a week, and we are able to full block. So a nice start to things as we fight the Nibbit on floor 2, which is interesting. So Meow is considered floor 1, and the first enemy is floor 2. Just a small thing that maybe you haven't noticed, but yeah, adds a little something to the floor count as you're looking at it. We're offered a backflip, a leading strike, or a slice. Leading strike has a Shiv, but I'm kind of thinking maybe backflip early is nice to have just in case we need a couple more options here. Room full of cheese. We can pick 2 of 8 random common cards, or we can search and get the chosen cheese, and at the end of combat, gain 1 max hit point. So I've not gotten this before. I've not taken the cheese. I have taken the cards before from that event. And I figure, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's see how it is. Surely this will pay off because we will heal 14 by way of 14 floors, giving us max hit points. So most definitely, assuming we get past 14 floors, it will be a net positive. And with Ascension 1 being as easy as it should be, assuming all things are balanced moderately well based off of the first game, Spire 1, I feel pretty confident here, and we've gotten our first health. Now we're offered Bubble Bubble, which is maybe a play on Bubble Bobble, Blade Dance, and Untouchable, another slide card that I don't really have enough to make that work yet, so we're going to go with the Blade Dance and head towards the Twig fight. We've got the Leaf Slime and the Twig Slimes here. They're pretty easy fight, all things considered, and they're such low damage, and the status cards don't really bother me. So I thought about, we could take out the baby slime here, but a neutralize and attack will also do that efficiently. So we get the option here. Meow's Fury will also take it out, and we get our first Blade Dance. So that also takes it out. Lots of options here. And with 11 attack coming our way, we are going to block as much as we can. And that 1 max hit point already coming in handy, allowing us to full block that we might otherwise have not have. And we will full block for this turn to avoid taking any unnecessary damage. Meow's Fury, again, interesting card. Early on, I think I would say there's pretty good power here. Like I mentioned in prior videos, I am still commentating this after the fact, so I've got a clear mind as I do each portion of this, both the playing and the commentating, and checking the upgrades to see what's changed. Blade Dance does go to 4 Shivs. Neutralize, obviously, is going to 2 weak, and I opt for the Neutralize upgrade here, which I think will pay off, again, on the long term. Now, this fight, we're going up against 2 Nibbits. We're going to play that Blade Dance again, and I haven't yet realized something to do with Blade Dance. We'll get to that in just a bit. A big change from Spire 1 to Spire 2. Now, again, Nibbits are nice and easy early on. We should be taking out the upgrading one first because that 2 attack is going to actually add up significantly. And we can't even full block, actually, with a survivor and a defend. Again, our max health that 1 extra max health paying off to keep us even here. But this attack, well, this particular round is a lot harder. They're throwing at us a significant amount of damage. But Niao's Fury would neutralize, once again, a great combo here that we're going to be able to take a lot out of the attacks coming our way. And it's actually better off to not defend here. If you check out the damage, I would have taken 1 more damage by defending there rather than killing the smaller Nibbit. So at this point, we're fine. There's no more concerns. It would have been nice to get a little bit better hand here and do 3 strikes worth of damage rather than 2. But beggars can't be choosers. Although he is getting scary. At this point, the 4 strength on floor 7 is a lot to handle. So this fight, I wonder, is it overtuned? I just realized, hey, where's the Blade Dance? Oh, it exhausts. Blade Dance now exhausts in Spire 2. Are you kidding me? I was so upset for a microsecond there. She's getting us 1 more health back. We're getting pretty low, though. Here we've got a Bullet Time, which is the same as Spire 1. Sucker Punch, which I think added 1 damage. But we opt to go for a different card, which I didn't even pay attention to because I was looking at Sucker Punch and Bullet Time. So we'll figure out what that card was in just a moment. And I'm opting between paying 100 to transform 2 cards or gaining 5 max hit points. But with the cheese, I don't need 5 max. I mean, I'm getting that anyway. And in fact, in 2 floors, I'll have gotten 5 max. So transforming 2 strikes, historically in Spire 1 was always really strong, and no difference in Spire 2. Although I'm regretting taking accuracy so early. Now, I definitely, 2 things. I wouldn't have taken accuracy to begin with had I known that Blade Dance exhausted, because it's kind of a dead card if I get Blade Dance first, considering it was my only Shiv card. Now I have Leading Strike, which is fantastic, but really not all that good. So in this case, I'm debating, do I upgrade Blade Dance or maybe Prepared Plus, just giving myself more options and giving myself maybe some slide potential here later in the run. But we're going to go to the first chest, and with that, we'll get a Van Brace. First time you gain block from a card each combat, you double the amount. That is a really strong relic. It's kind of like Anchor in that it gives you some really nice upfront defense. And with Silent, you tend to be pretty heavy on the defense card. So it's rare that you don't get enough block or that you don't draw block in the first hand in general, especially with Ring of the Serpent that gives you 2 extra cards on turn 1. Now we are going to get to play some of these Shiv cards, but of course, neither accuracy has entered our hand. And I did opt to take 3 damage here versus getting another defense played, just because I figured 3 damage is not all that much. And we're going to discard just enough to be able to play some defense here. Backflip into accuracy finally. And mistakenly, I didn't realize how that extra damage worked, and that it was persistent through multiple turns. And I missed a defend here. So we take 3 free damage unnecessarily, which I realized, but once again, we're learning a lot here as we go. And I may play faster than I should, but at the same point, I can't help it. I'm not a overthinker, and we're definitely I'm going to learn by experience in this game in general. So going fast is, I think, fine. Again, the early ascension levels are so forgiving, and seriously, with that 1 extra max HP every couple of floors, it's not that big of a deal to take a little bit of extra damage here and there. Although, again, it's certainly not perfect play. Now, I did think about, do we take a poison card or anticipate? I'm not a fan of, I haven't even taken anticipate, but I'm just not a fan of it, especially with Van Brace. I don't think I need it, and it doesn't exhaust. Now, poison stab seemed like it could be nice, but again, we want to stick to going after Shivs at this point, and being on 38 health, I'm going to go for either the upgrade or the rest here before an elite. So we are going to veer off and only fight 1 elite here after all. But that's okay. We will still get, I think, plenty strong without that. And again, Vambrace coming in big here on this turn 1, costing me only 1 energy to full block. And Niao's Fury also allowing us to bring in a lot of extra damage that we wouldn't otherwise, but we're going to full defend instead. So this enemy is interesting to me in that he's got a lot of health, but it's not very scary. So it's like a minor just depth check going towards the end of the act to make sure you've got enough to be able to block and enough damage to go around here. So I think with 72 health, you know, that obviously is going to take quite a few cards to go through playing. And I think I'm a little distracted here by something going on the side. Sorry about that. But we're going to continue to just play Shivs. And now for once we actually have an accuracy down. In fact, we've got both accuracies down. So the question is, do I play it now or do I full defend? And I haven't decided. So instead we are going to play it because 36 damage seemed too good to give up. And we will take, once again, 1 point of chip damage. So going into the next floor here, we get another Blade Dance. That's going to be really nice going up against this elite. I think this elite, Berdanis, is probably, in my opinion, the toughest of the elites. Now, just so much required from a block perspective. And I'm realizing like, oh, well, maybe I could have blocked slightly differently here since I had the Vambrace, but I think at the end there was nothing really different to do here. It may be worth playing a potion. I do have 3. I'm not sure I'll need 3 going into the boss. It's nice to have 3, but since we're full blocking, you know, I didn't necessarily need to use it. Now, I see footwork for the first time. Pretty sure. I'm not sure I saw it at all in the first run. That's okay, but I love footwork, and I'm so used to getting it in runs that it seems surprising that it took so long to find it. And unfortunately, we don't get to keep it. Now, we do get our double accuracies down, and with a neutralize, we should be able to get a Blade Dance down, if not Leading Strike. But Blade Dance is going to do, I think, a lot more damage. Yeah, for sure it's going to do a lot more damage than Leading Strike. So that is going to be what we play. I probably should have done a quick check for lethal, especially with the flex spot. But in hindsight, I still don't think we had it, even if we played Leading Strike with this. We would have been maybe just a little short. I don't know. I'd actually have to go back and do that math. But at this point, now that we've got weakened down, I'm feeling a lot more confident. We've got another Blade Dance, and that's going to take us through this first elite fight that, again, is kind of scary. So glad to get out of this mostly unscathed. And we get a Tuning Fork, which is a really nice relic to get with Silent. So could take another backflip. We are going to go for that, especially with Tuning Fork. That's going to give us some good opportunities. And we get the Inkling fight where they have 1 Slippery. So thankfully debuffs still work, and Blade Dance is really useful here, actually, since we can either just straight up kill one, but also remove all of the Slippery from all of them. And overall, with this Vambrace, we can full block, and that'll get us through just fine. These aren't a very scary fight, although turn 2, the damage goes up pretty dramatically. But once you start looking at how much damage you can do, it's really, I don't know, it's just not that scary to me. So Niao's Fury is kind of funny here. It didn't matter what order I played it, obviously, but I technically played it backwards there. We see Haze, which has Sly and 4 poison to all enemies. It's a skill. With the Prepared Plus, that's a little bit more interesting, but I decide just that I don't want to do anything poison related this run if I can avoid it. I really want to see if Shivs are strong enough to get me through without any extra help. And maybe that's kind of short-sighted. I guess we'll find out as the run continues. But I have confidence that the developers have learned enough from Spire 1 that Shivs are going to be strong enough. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, you know what? An accuracy upgrade is probably smart since I'm going to be playing Shivs at least a certain number of times. And we once again get the combo of Neutralize, Niao's Fury, Neutralize. And I should be going after the upgrade guy, but because I have to put damage on that back guy anyway, I figured maybe I can burst him down faster than otherwise. And I don't want to use the Blade Dance here since I really like to get the full value out of that with the double accuracy. And here we're at least going to get one down before playing Blade Dance. But same deal. I figure, you know what? Maybe it's better to just block more and get that accuracy going before I try playing that Blade Dance. So I've got a lot of health to work with. I don't mind. I could have blocked for more, but at this point, I'm still full healing at the end of the fight on Ascension 1. On Ascension 2, you don't full heal. So my decision making could have been a little bit different for Ascension 2 than what we've got right now. You only heal for 80%, I think it is, on Ascension 2. I suppose we'll find that at the end of this fight if we make it through here. Although we did do it on Ironclad already. So yeah, we do know. I just can't remember what the number is exactly. And yeah, this fight, all of a sudden with Shivs doing 10 extra damage, isn't too scary. Now, we do want to take out these minions so that the fight doesn't get out of hand because they do keep buffing. And overall, the boss in the back is not nearly as scary to me. So the Shivs are going to allow us to do exactly that. Now we're on to taking out this boss, who we haven't really talked about. This boss, I don't think he's the hardest boss. I do think he's higher than the stag or the reindeer guy that gets stunned when you bring him down to 150 health. This guy, I think, feels like he scales more. And because you have multiple enemies, you might consider cards as you go up towards the boss fight. You might lean a little bit more towards cards that have AoE damage. But we didn't really do that. We also didn't really get offered any cards to do that. So it's fine. I think it's all fine here. As long as we keep playing Leading Strike, I mean, that's going to do 21 damage for one repeatedly. And we don't have that many cards. So we do draw back to it quickly enough. And we have enough between weak and the upgraded Neutralize is really doing a lot of work here. It may not seem it, but every time that we get to it, we take out a lot of damage. So right there, we're taking 6 less that we have to worry about, which is very helpful. We are still going to eat a little bit more here, but again, with the full heal at the end of the act, I'm not too concerned. So it's overall, you know, the Silent has felt stronger to me than Spire 1, but it's hard to compare right now because number one, obviously we're in early access, but number two, I was playing Ascension 20 on Spire 1. So until we get a little deeper in the Ascension levels, we won't really know that for sure. But so far, Silent feels pretty good to me. Now, I think at this point, I thought about, you know, do I use a flex pot and just get out of this fight? But it doesn't matter. Again, full heal is driving a lot of the decision-making here on these last couple of turns. And we've got enough to get out with a good backflip or prepared. Come on, something's got to save me here. And sure enough, we get there. And boss fight, damn, we get a fish oil potion. And we're offered a Serpent Form, Murder, and Shadow Melt. Murder does 1 damage and deals 1 additional damage for each card drawn this combat. And that's interesting because it's card drawn versus like Goldax, that's each card played. Shadow Melt does double your block gain this turn, and Serpent Form, whenever you play a card, deal 4 damage to a random enemy. So kind of like 1,000 Cuts from Spire 1, costs 3 though, which is tough to get down. But Shadow Meld with Vambrace and Tuning Fork, I didn't feel was necessary. And Murder just didn't feel, for the cost, a 3-cost card, didn't feel worth it. I thought maybe if, you know, it persisted, I'd be more interested in it. But the fact is, it doesn't. So I opted to go with, obviously, what I went with. Now we're up to the guy's name that I can't say, Tezcatara. Oh, I said it pretty good, actually. We've got the Ember. He gives us Ember, enchanting. We've got Big Hug and Pumpkin Candle. I have yet to take Pumpkin Candle because I don't really want to lose the relic at the end of the act. Nutritious Soup sounds really good because the strikes become 0 cost. And I've removed a couple. So you know what? It just takes out the need to remove. And if there's something like Wristblade in the game for a relic, which I don't actually know if there is, we could do extra damage with them. Now, we didn't take the 4 upgrades, which also sounded very good, but having the soot in our hand was not something I was really interested in, as you saw me highlight over it just a moment ago. And once again, we're looking for maybe a path with a few question marks before elites and enough campfires. And we're going to go with this path, and we're fighting the bugs. These bugs are fine. I think they're a very easy fight for the first floor of Act 2. If you remember in Spire 1, Act 2 was brutal. Honestly, it was probably the first couple of hallway fights in Act 2, especially on Ascension 20. You either fought the avocado guy, which does 21 damage turn 1. It's like, how do you block for that? And I feel like it was harder to block in Spire 1 than it is to block in Spire 2. Maybe that's not true, but so far it does feel that way. So we have that. We had the birds, which could be doing 18 damage turn 1 with 1/6. And then you might have the 2 thieves, which were brutal. Yeah, it was all bad. It was all bad. And so by comparison, this fight is easy. You don't have to take any damage. Now, I also think it's probably worth mentioning that, oh, by the way, these strikes, 0 cost, really liking it here already. What I was going to say, though, before I interrupted myself so rudely, was the cheese wheel gave us 8 health already. So we only need another 6 before we're even on the health that we lost. And already, because we didn't die on Act 1, it's fully paid off. And 78 health on the Silent is a lot. I think Silent on in the original game was what, 69 or 66 starting health, something like that, on Ascension 20. So yeah, this feels great. I do get offered an acrobatics, which again plays into Sly, so I'm kind of interested in that. I am continuing to not do a good job of using my potions, and I'm going to skip the vulnerable, which is questionable. Vulnerable flex is worth a lot. Now, we get a potion event immediately after, which is funny. And we can either get an upgraded uncommon skill, common skill, or uncommon power. I really like powers. Although skills is probably worth taking because we have tuning for it. So with that, I go, oh, up my sleeve's a Shiv card. Expertise is more card draw, and Mirage, I don't have poison. So up my sleeve it is. And now we got Shivs. We finally got some Shivs. We got something to work with here. Going up against the bull bugs, we've got the guy in the front where if you full block, he gets stunned, and he's the rock bug. And then we've got the nectar bug, which I think there's only 3 types, right? There's rock, nectar, and silk. And one of them buffs a lot. I can't remember which it is. But anyway, we could full block here if we want. And these 0 cost strikes proving to be very nice already. Like, yes, strikes aren't the greatest card, but we turned them into slices effectively. And being able to play that, put that damage down, instead of having to remove them, feels surprisingly good to me. They're as good as, if not, they're better than unupgraded Shivs, or unaccuracied or upgraded Shivs. And yeah, this fight went from, as always, mildly concerning to very easy. Piercing Well Plus, that is a guaranteed take. I know there was a slide card there, but I'm not sure I did take Piercing Well last time. Then we get the Zen Weaver. We can either add to Enlightenment, remove a card for way too much gold, or remove 2 cards for way too much gold. And we're not really in a card deck where I want to remove a whole lot of cards, but it's better than adding Enlightenments that I don't need because I have a whole bunch of 0 cost cards. So in this case, we're going to pay to remove way expensively either Defend or a regular accuracy. And we're going to get rid of the regular accuracy. Maybe, I think so. Probably. Yes. I I don't want two accuracies. It seems good, but there's too many situations where you draw them after all of your shivs. So one accuracy feels good. Now, we are full health, so we're going to get an upgrade in here. I also feel like somehow we end up with a lot more upgraded cards than in Spire 1. But again, that could be a result of early Ascensions, where I think in Spire 2, later Ascensions, you see less upgraded cards during a run. And that's fine, right? We're playing early Ascension. I get it. Anyway, we're up to the Entomancer, which is, I think, the hardest Act 2 elite, which if you're not prepared for the days that he puts into your deck, it's a tough fight. And I'm really thinking about this turn because I'm wondering, what do I do? How do I fight this? Because I'm a Shiv deck. This is like the anti-Shiv deck elite. Every time you hit him, he puts, what is it, 1 or 2? I forget exactly what it is. Now, I actually did something weird. I played that card, and I put 4 Shivs in the deck, but didn't play them, which you might go, why? And the answer is real simply, I wanted to play the Shivs, but I didn't want to play them before I got extreme value out of an accuracy. So we're just trying to get to my accuracy. And this is where you see the problem with accuracy. I'm not getting there. So it's still at the bottom of the deck, as always, as it always is when you're looking for a card. And I'm just setting up, which is a problem, which, by the way, it was the actual last card in the deck. Obnoxious. But I figure at this point, now we can start putting some damage on. We also got through any dazes that we had added. So we more quickly got to the accuracy than had we played all those shifts. It would have taken one more turn. And now I want to play Serpent Form, but I have to get damage on. And I also really want to get that defend down because we need to block the 3x7. So instead, we're going to just try to max out with damage here, which, man, if I had that vulnerable pot, we would have actually fully killed this guy. And look how many dazes we just put into our draw pile. Obnoxious. And this fight's tough now. This is why I think it's the hardest elite, because if it was a poison deck, it'd be no problem. Now we're fine. We got lucky, but we could have got 5 dazes there and taken a ton of damage. We got ourselves a Gorget or Gorget, however you say that. I'm thinking about expertise or a backflip, but you know what? At this point, I'm like, let's just skip and move because I don't want another backflip. We get a Juzu bracelet, which I'm on the fence of value-wise in Spire 1 or Spire 2. But Bellows, I am a fan of. First hand you draw gets fully upgraded. We're silent, so it's a bigger first hand. So we guaranteed have 7 upgraded cards to play. Now we walk into a shop, and immediately I see Tingsha and Happy Flower. I want to look at Infinite Blades and Malaise. We got Tactician. There's a whole lot of good stuff. Shockwave, Entropy, which I haven't yet played, but I can tell you I've since played with that card. We are going to take Happy Flower for sure, by the way. And Entropy is better than I thought, because I didn't know if it was a random card or not. I know it doesn't say a random card, but it also doesn't say choose a card. So I've just been hesitant on it. By the way, that's the fairy in the bottle, I believe. Oh, no, Lucky Tonic. I missed that. I'm not even sure what Lucky Tonic does. Yeah, if we don't mouse over it again, I'll have to look it up after. But anyway, back to Entropy. Transforming one card is really useful. So especially when you have strikes and 5 strikes, it is a great power. So it's not as good in this run because I actually like most of my cards, especially with my relics. And we do take the Infinite Blaze, by the way. But yeah, I didn't know at this point what it could do. I wouldn't have taken it here anyway, knowing what it does. Now we got Juzu, so we know we're going to get... I haven't taken a Foul Potion yet, by the way, either. Maybe I should. But if that was before the merchant, maybe I would have. But we are going to go back up to full potion here as I continually interrupt myself. The Juzu bracelet is doing what it does. I'm not sure I would have wanted, if I had the option for a fight there, I might have taken it. We're going to upgrade Infinite Blades to guarantee that we start getting Shivs early on, by the way. And if with this event, we can also make it draw 2 cards. So this was not planned, but something we've experienced a couple of times. We did it with, I think we did it with Noxious Fumes last Silent run, and I've done it since with some others. It's really nice on innate powers. We're fighting the Infested Prism, which is a little scary. Certainly not turn 1. We do have 4 plating at this point, so I'm not terrified by any stretch. And he gives you that extra energy, which is really nice. So my turn 1 is just very powerful. We're not going to take any damage here for a little bit. I really want to get this Serpent form down. And because I get 1 extra energy with the Shiv, Infinite Blades really made this work out, where with Tooting Fork and Plating, or with either, I basically full blocked regardless. So now, again, the Shiv doing, you have to do a damage to him. I think you have to get through shield. He's got to take damage, I'm pretty sure. But it's been a nice card to have. And we draw the Clutch Piercing Whale on his multi-turn attack. This is a multi-attack a turn. This is a beautiful hand to have, which also allows us to play up my sleeve with upgraded Shivs or accuracy Shivs and the 0-cost strike. So all of a sudden I'm fighting this guy thinking like, oh, with the Serpent Strike, really not that scary. Figured I might as well drink the Thorns just to get through this even quicker, because I still am scared at this point when I'm fighting him. But up my sleeve is great. This reduced the cost by 1 is really nice. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this guy's dead. Yeah, there's no, like, I couldn't even decide what to get rid of this. Look, we have all 0-cost attacks that do significant damage. I'm not sure why I got rid of that, not the backflip as I'm looking at it, but it doesn't even matter because we had such overkill. We do get a block pot, so I'm glad we used our potion, and a paper crane, so we take less from weaken, and a fan of knives, which is a new card. And going up against the crab, it is amazing. So Shivs now attack all enemies, which is kind of like that Forge upgrade. What is that called? The Regent's Forge card, something Edge, where it attacks all of the enemies on screen at once. Same concept. So now we have AoE, permanent AoE once we play it, and because it's a power, and it is like well worth playing on turn 1 here. But at the same time, I really need to play a card that lets me turn to face the guy that's doing more damage. Luckily for me, it was neutralized. So we're going to be able to full block here with this defend and the Vambrace. I don't know why I'm looking. What am I looking at? Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're going to retain the hand. That potion's interesting. I don't like it all the time. There's times where I remove it, actually. But against this boss, it's been very helpful. Now, Fan of Knives has a funny little drawback on this particular boss. I kind of want to be able to turn, and this will make it where my Shivs don't let me turn anymore. Because when you use them, you'll see they just go, it just goes up into the air, right? Like you just play the card. Now I'm doing a ton of damage, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just an interesting thing to note that there could be situations where you don't want to do that. Now this is a good turn to put out a absolute ton of damage. So we're going to use the block pot instead of blocking with a backflip plus, which would have anyway clogged up the hand too much and made it difficult for me to do the things I needed to do. Now, again, we've got a problem here where Shivs don't let us, like we just talked about, turn to the other guy. So I have to prepare it and backflip to ideally, oh, I have Mia's Fury. But if I didn't, I would have to actually continue to draw because the Shiv cards don't get me to where I need to go. Now, ended up getting neutralized and strike back anyway, so no big deal. Could have argued that maybe damage should have gone on the other guy, but Blade Dance is going to get us there. Although, once again, we never did get our Serpent form down. So, too bad, so sad. At this point, I'm not worried. This guy's got nothing left to frighten us, as our Shivs are going to take him out even when weakened and frail. So we might as well just close out this fight. I don't know why I did that. That actually made no sense. I should have attacked the other guy and then played the Shivs. And he blocks for 99, so I couldn't do anything from that point on. Finally, I'm like, you know what? Let's play the Serpent form, because I'm going to full heal anyway, and I really just wanted to play the card. So we're not going to full block. We are going to play the Serpent form. And this is going to close out the fight with a couple of Shivs. I think Shiv's going to bring us home here. And honestly, like, could be a scary boss. Not that scary. Now we're offered Shadow Step, Malaise, and Abrasive. At this point, I'm like, I don't really know if Sly's ever going to be a thing for me. I don't care about Thorns that much. Shadow Step is basically Phantasmal Killer with a full discard. But how do you say no to Malaise? It was so good in Spire 1. So we're up to Act 3, and we're going to get, I think, maybe my favorite of the Act 3 blessing guys, the Hoarder, Darv, because he gives you all the boss relics from Spire 1, Pandora's, Runic Pyramid, or Astrolabe. Now, Pandora's isn't good because I got the 0-cost strikes that are eternal. I don't think they actually, I'm pretty sure they can't be transformed, right? So, cannot be removed or transformed from your deck. So Pandora's is only affecting my defense. So Astrolabe is actually the best pick, or Runic Pyramid. But Runic Pyramid makes it tough with Shivs. So I did end up going for the Runic Pyramid because I figure with Prepared Plus and maybe some other discard mechanic cards, I can get through it. And it is really nice to keep some of your higher cost powers in hand that maybe you can't play when you draw them, like Serpent, for turns that are a little bit more appropriate. Also, Cheese Wheel doing work. We're up to 83 health. So we're in a good spot here with the Cheese Wheel really paying off. 13 max on a 14 hit loss. And that means we're also healing for way more every time we get a heal, whether it's a rest site or an act change. So there's a lot of hidden value there that you've got to consider. Now we're up against these scrolls, which I still don't really know how I feel about this. They remove max HP if you take unblocked damage, 2, I think. Yeah, that's what the 2 would be. And so I'm like always mildly concerned that I'm going to take damage. And I'm like, oh yeah, Vambrace, Tuning Fork, all this stuff going on. Plated Armor 4 with Gorget. I still don't know how to say it. So I realized, like, oh, they're not actually scary at all. And Fana Knives is going to make this fight absolutely trivial with, just everything that's going on here with the accuracy. So the question is, do I play it first and not get them all, or what have you? Piercing Wail, also really good. Here we go again with the Prepared Plus is nice because we get to remix our hand and go down 1 card, which is actually important. Now, I played that Shiv unnecessarily. It doesn't matter. But yeah, either way, these guys are fried. I'm offered an Up My Sleeve Plus, Dagger Spray Plus, and an Acro. I actually don't really want any of these cards because they're just going to, they're going to clog my hand, except for the Dagger Spray, but I just don't need Dagger Spray AoE with Fana Knives. This or that, either gain or lose 6 and gain gold, or add a Clumsy and get a random relic. Clumsy has not been scary to me for the first runs that I've had it in. I think I had it in, maybe it was a Ironclad run. So I'm like, you know what, let's take a couple upgraded attacks. Of course it strikes. Didn't get any of the ones that I wanted, like Meow's Fury or anything. We get the Symbiote, which is either enchant a attack with Corrupted to do 50% more damage, which doesn't really help me with Shivs. So I'm not going to do it on any of these lower damage cards, and just take, it doesn't make any sense. Now it does pair well with Cheese Wheel, honestly, but if we had like a Reap, which is not a card that we can even get, it would work well. So instead we're going to kill with fire and go with the transform. I didn't click on the Clumsy. I wondered if it would transform it into another Curse. That's what it does in Spire 1, and opted for a Defend instead, which is fine. We're going to get Speedster, so anytime we draw a card, we deal 2 damage. Again, this is kind of like a play on 1,000 Cuts. That's actually closer to 1,000 Cuts than, you know, some of the other cards that have mechanics like that. Closer to 1,000 Cuts than Serpent. Let's go with that. Now, we do get Malaise, where we can do a lot of damage to, or weaken greatly the guy on the right. We're going to do that for 1 and remove 10 damage with that single card, as well as dump a couple of cards here going into the second hand. You'll see if there's anything worth getting out of. Because again, we have Pyramid, so we wouldn't get a full draw if we had kept it. And with Infinite Blades, we actually never get a full draw, which is a little problematic. We never get a full draw if we keep 5 cards. We actually have to go down to 4 cards. Piercing Whale, again, an amazing card, especially with Pyramid, by the way. So I'm really liking that. And Survivor is surprisingly good when you've got Pyramid as well. So Shivs coming out, dealing a ton of damage. We're going to be able to take this fight out without too much concern. We're very defensive, I'm realizing at this point, and confidence is going way, way up. Now, at this point, I'm thinking we've got a free turn. Might as well get that Serpent form down. And that damage, with that extra 4, I mean, adds up really quickly. We just did 12 to him because of that. And with Shivs and all these 0-cost cards I've got, it's turning into a really strong card to have picked up, maybe a little unknowingly. We've got another follow-through, which is slightly changed from Spire 1. It's 1 less damage, and it does weak to all. But we're going to go with the skip and fight an elite here. So he's dealing 29 immediately. I'd really like to play Serpent form, but instead we go for the draw, and we're able to dump the hand a little bit with Prepared. And here's the interesting time where you get clumsy, and it's actually better to just take it because you're never going to play all these cards for multiple turns anyway. So it'll actually let me dump a card from the deck and the hand. And we go down to 5, which again, I'm only drawing 4 because of this. But we draw the best card imaginable at this point, Malaise, and we can full block, full weaken this guy for 4 turns. So we're going to take that opportunity, 5 turns, in fact, because we played that Neutralize earlier. And yeah, this fight all of a sudden also became pretty trivial. Now, I don't have a ton of block this turn with plating lowering itself, but I have enough between Survivor and if we want to play a Defend or something. Now I'm just wondering, do I ever get to play Serpent form? So we do a full block. We do get Serpent form down, or I'm considering getting it down this turn. I also figure I might as well play some of my potions here because I never seem to play them enough. And we are going to take some damage going down to 77. But keep in mind that 77 is above our 70 hit point starting health. So again, just not all that scary for the Silent. Maybe Cheese Wheel's OP. Maybe that's going to be the thumbnail here. The Cheese Wheel OP. Did we just come up with the title? See, this is the benefit of doing the commentary after. You get to really think through, what's my YouTube title going to be? But at this point, we're almost full blocking. So I'm going to play Speedster just to continue to speed up the fight. I'm really not worried about going into another elite or boss fight with this much health. Seems totally fine. So we're just going to keep working on chipping this guy down here as quickly as possible. Although I am struggling to play up my sleeve. It is a problem that at some point I'm going to have to figure out. However, at this point, what really matters is we have so much chip damage coming in. Oh, and by the way, before I finish that thought, the Speedster only does the chip damage when you draw. I didn't pick that up at first either. So you have to draw the cards. It doesn't happen when you just draw a hand. It's a little thing that is important to note because it's less valuable. Now, I got it out of a transform, so not really much of a choice in taking it, but I wouldn't take it in this deck otherwise because only Prepared Plus and Acrobatics is at that point doing you any favors for what we've got going on. But the nice thing is, again, our chip damage otherwise is so powerful it doesn't even matter. We get a bronze scale and a bunch of cards that I'm just not that interested in because basically we got a Shiv deck and it works. Feels good that it works too, by the way. It feels like very smooth. So I'm looking at what do I want to upgrade here. Very likely Malaise is going to be it. So even if I don't have any energy, we can still get some use out of it. Get our chest. Venerable Tea Set is nice on turn 1 with all upgraded cards in hand. We get the Relic Trader, which I really like. We can trade Gorget for Bag of Prep and get a full turn 1 hand of upgraded cards. The Juzu Bracelet for War Paint makes actually more sense because we only have one more event. And so that's what I go with. We get a Survivor Plus and a Defend Plus. We go to the Elite. And then I just don't care if the question mark is or is not a fight. This is an interesting Elite fight it's a parallel to the Slavers, I would say. 3 mixed health, mixed ability enemies that one is basically doing a lot of damage, one is debuffing, and one is upgrading, right? So like there's a cool dynamic here. And I think it's an interesting fight. I imagine this fight is going to end up getting tuned. This is the one where first we're hexed and we're going to lose all our ethereal cards. So I have to make a decision here because I can't play all of this and I'm definitely going to lose some of it. So I could save some, by the way, with the gambling potion. The question is, are these the cards that I want to save? Now, the answer is yes, because my Blade dances, but this is also high risk because if I draw Fan of Knives, I would be very sad. Now I'm still sad because I draw Piercing Wail. That isn't really useful this turn. I mean, it would have helped, obviously, but I was very worried that if I got Fan of Knives on the prior turn, I would have been hosed. So we've got to be careful with how we play this because our deck is shrinking very quickly, and I forget where I was going with that. It's shrinking very quickly. Oh, and our Blade Dance's exhaust. We got there. We finally got there. It happens sometimes. What are you going to do? Now we are able to get the Accuracy Blade, which is nice. For some reason, I don't know why I'm considering Speedster. That is not the card we want here to play. Definitely Accuracy is the best decision. And then if we can save a card by dumping it, which is going to have to be, Leading Strike. So we get a pretty, that's nice actually. The Prepared gets us a 0-cost strike. We're able to do a little bit more damage, especially with that Serpent Chip damage. We do take 1, but again, really not that scary, all things considered. So here we're forced to make a decision, right? We should have played Fan of Knives first, again, but it doesn't matter too much because now we're just doing massive damage, and this fight once again becomes trivial. And at this point, Cheese Wheel has gotten us to 87 health. Now we see a Burst, Escape Plan, and Deadly Poison. I like Burst, but Escape Plan is just so nice with Pyramid and a heavy skill deck. So, and Tuning Fork, right? So there's a lot of things. Also Kunai. We just picked up a Kunai. So Burst is nice, but it really is only going to be used for Malaise. And is that enough for a one-time use to really justify it? My thought was no. Obviously, I'm not taking the Deadly Poison, and we're going to go for a question mark and get the cheapo shop, which is actually fine because I think this is the last shop I have access to anyway. So I think we're just going to buy everything that we can. And Happy Flower question mark is a good one. I like that one. Venerable Tea Set is funny. I don't really need that since I have one. Wait, do we have another shop? Maybe we do have another shop. We do. I'm sorry. I have the option, though, to go to a question mark instead. Now we're fighting the mechanic guys with anvil heads. And once we get the Fan of Knives down, this fight will be totally fine as well. But there are definitely times where this fight is feels surprisingly hard. And it has to do with how long it takes you to set up. I think Regent, I tend to struggle with these guys a little bit more, but any just high damage turning deck that also blocks, no concern whatsoever at all. Now, Malaise is a kind of a useless card here for the most part because it's one-time use, and once you take them out, you lose the effect because they bring in a new person, a new entity altogether. But that's fine. We'll still play it even just to get it out of the hand here eventually, and to get some blocking. So a lot of decisions to be made here. I really want to get that Fan of Knives down, but and once again, you can see that accuracy is just never where you want it. You want that card at the start of the deck. I guess the one benefit to it not being at the start is I upgrade more other cards instead, thanks to Bellows. So ideally, maybe you get it on your second hand, and you get like a good couple of setup cards that you can play upgraded in the first hand. A lot of math going on here, by the way, in my head. It doesn't really seem to add up no matter what I do, though. But between Blade Dance and Up My Sleeve, we should be able to get there between those two cards. And yeah, we did. Also, it's going to allow us to Malaise after a defend and full block, especially with plating here. No concerns whatsoever. Thorin's actually doing a little bit of work. Bronze Scale's not bad. There are a lot of multi-attack enemies. We play Speedster just to get it out of hand, which is kind of annoying. I don't like that card. If anything, I should probably remove that over any other card at the next shop, unless there's something else that I want more. I don't actually remember what I do here. Once again, accuracy is the bottom of the bottom deck of cards. And I continue to like these zero-cost strikes. Really nice. Now that we've got our Shivs upgraded and Fan of Knives, though, with Serpent Form, with Serpent Form, I hope to play at some point. This fight, once again, is trivial. And we do get to play it this time because we're going to take out this guy whenever they land again, which, it happens 3 times in total. You fight 3 versions of them. They don't attack guaranteed. So with their low health, even though cumulatively they each have, 130-ish health, because it varies somewhere between 40 and 50. I'm not sure what the range is quite exactly, but it ends up being a really easy fight. I think it's too easy for where it is in the act and in the game. So that might be something that gets tuned in the future. But we're going to get through that just fine. And this looks like another skip. We did pick up a speed pot going into the store. And this is the final floor. The Burning Sticks, every time you exhaust a skill, add a copy of it into your hand. Kind of nice for Malaise and Piercing Will. But I don't think that's what I go with. Definitely, it's an interesting mechanic that does benefit Silent with those types of cards. I'm sure there are other ones that I'm not thinking of. Pendulum's always good, but Candelabra, it solves some issues with my deck and the Pyramid. So guaranteed we're taking that. We could also remove a card, but I'm just debating, like, Precise Cut is not very good here because of how little damage it'll do all the time. Anticipate's not terrible. For the first time with Pyramid, I could see use here for once. And we end up just going with a colorless card, which I'm not even sure what it was. We'll see in a minute. Was it Dark Shackles, or maybe I'm thinking of a different run? Fasten's another good one that we could have taken if it was offered with our defense. But with 68 out of 88, I don't care about the upgrades that much here. So we're going to go for the guarantee, quote unquote guarantee, in the full heal. Now 5 energy on turn 1 is amazing. It's going to let us play a whole bunch of cards here, including Fan of Knives finally, early on. Although I would have loved to get, accuracy plus, which we don't get again. But a lot of good options here anyway, and more draw to go between escape plan, backflip. We are going to be able to easily full block this guy as well. And I gotta keep saying how much I like the strikes at 0 cost, especially upgraded. Like, it feels really good to play them, and they're strikes. But we are going to get very strong Shivs at this point. We do get the accuracy after all. And all of a sudden, this fight feels like it's going to be a joke, because turn 1, I've done just a massive amount of damage. Now, I should have played the potion immediately, and I missed out on a ton of block with that. But still, we're going to take after image. That would have full blocked, by the way. I wouldn't have taken any damage. This would have been probably a perfect fight. Our clumsy, production is what we took, extra energy. Production's kind of nice with Malaise Plus, among other things. So we're at this point, I'm not sure we even take any more damage now that we've got so many good cards in hand. We're going to allow that clumsy to do what it's bound to do, which is, oh, that was a good pun. Just disappear here at the end of the fight. And we could do a big malaise on Queen, which, why not? This fight is not going to go very long. So we can just enjoy it from here. To play Serpent Form. We do have that. Well, oh, I thought we had the Piercing Well. I guess we don't have the Piercing Well. So we may take a little damage here from it. But honestly, if with the Defend Plus, we block for a lot, especially with 4 decks from Kunai. Kunai really giving us a lot of benefit here with all the Shivs that we've played. And now 5 decks. Don't even have to worry about this guy. 36 damage? What? No, we're not going to take any damage. And now I've just got to dump my hand a little bit. So, yeah, we do that next. And then Bound does disappear from turn to turn, so you don't have to worry about removing the Bound cards. Now, I do have to think about this one a little bit, because up my sleeve is Bound versus a 0-cost Strike or Prepared, all of which have value. But look at our boss. Our boss is doing 0 damage to us. And After Image is overblocking anyway. We're on turn 4, by the way. I think we're going on to turn 5 here. So this fight just ended up being, once again, I'll use the word trivial. Maybe a joke is a better word. This was a scary fight the first time I fought Queen. But now, at this point, you're starting to see, once you get the handle on a couple of these mechanics of Spire 2, it's just not that bad. The fight, that is. The game is great. The fight is not that bad. And yeah, we're going to take Queen out. I'm not even sure we have to go to turn 7, but it looks like, by 9. We also still have an unused speed potion that never came to fruition. And one more Shiv is going to take us through. Cheese Wheel bringing us to 89. 19 health coming from Cheese Wheel. Definitely the MVP. Totally unnecessary, but we're still going to give him the MVP. And Silent's going to curse out the Architect as she does with her Shivs. And we're going to end another game. Hope you enjoyed that one. We'll see you in the next one, which should be Regent. Take care.